Well, let's see what we're going to have this week in a week of meals. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Grammy in the kitchen. First meal we're going to make is going to be ravioli. We're going to make a pink sauce, which is a mixture of Alfredo and pasta sauce. I have 1.5 pounds of homemade raviolis. Family, I do have videos out there to show how I make ravioli. But if you don't have the time or desire to make ravioli, buy a bag of good quality cheese-filled ravioli. But I encourage you, get in your kitchen and learn how to make the things your family enjoys eating. Ravioli is time-consuming, but really, really easy to make. But it's okay if you want to get a bag of frozen raviolis, it will be fine. I have a pint of heavy cream, a quart of our homemade pasta sauce, a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and 1 pound of hamburger. On the stove, I have a pot of water coming up to a boil so we can cook our raviolis. Once we get those in the sink in a strainer, we're going to start building our sauce so we can put everything together. In the oven, I have it on for 400 degrees. And I have the standard size cast iron skillet in the oven warming up so we can make some sourdough discard breadsticks. You know the husband's not a big fan of sourdough discard breadsticks, so if he wants garlic bread, that's fine. We'll just take some bread, add some butter and garlic powder, and we'll toast it for him. I love the discard breadsticks. As soon as we get that water boiling, get the ravioli started, and get that in the sink, we can start building this sauce. So we want to add a lot of salt to our water before we add our pasta, because that's the best way to season or salt your pasta is in the water. And we'll let that come to a boil. And then we can add in the raviolis. We are finally up to a boil. Give that one more stir. And now we're going to add our frozen raviolis. And I'm probably going to cook that about 10 to 15 minutes once it comes back to a boil. Just come through here every now and then to give it a little toss, to make sure no raviolis are sticking together. Now do not add oil to your pasta water. The only thing the oil will do is it'll cling to that pasta, and then when you add your sauces, it'll prohibit the sauce from attaching to each one of those pastas, or in this case raviolis, and it'll just wash right off. So do not add oil to your pasta water. Give it a little stir every now and then to make sure they're not sticking. And that way the sauce will cling onto that pasta and be delicious. And the starch from the pasta is going to thicken our sauce and make it nice and creamy. So we just need to bring this back to a boil. And then boil it for about 10 minutes. All right, 10 minutes is up on the ravioli. I'm going to put this in the strainer. And now we're going to start building our meat sauce and the Alfredo sauce. So I just added some olive oil to the same pan. Drop in the ground beef. And I'm just going to cook that until it's no longer pink. Then I'm going to remove it from the pan and we're going to make our Alfredo sauce. All right, so our hamburger is done. I'm going to put this in a bowl with a strainer, just like this. And in the same pot, without even washing it, I have a tablespoon of butter. I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of Italian dressing mix, pinch of salt, and a pinch of pepper. And we're going to be making the Alfredo sauce. That's the white to our pink sauce. I have a pint of heavy cream. I'm going to heat this up, and then we're just going to add 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, and then we can add our pasta sauce. So we have a very hot cast iron skillet. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Give that a swish. And I have some sourdough discard. It's probably about 2 cups. I'm going to add a good pinch of salt, some pepper, a little bit of basil, some garlic powder, and some onion powder. Back in the oven until it gets a little color to it. And now we're going to add a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And I'm just going to cook that until the cheese melts. Oh, that's perfect. And now we're going to add a quart of pasta sauce. Stir that together. I'm going to taste it for any seasoning. It just needs a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Now we're going to add our cooked beef. And now we got pink sauce. Our cooked, unrinsed, very warm, raviolis. Give everything a gentle toss so we don't bust open any raviolis. I'm just going to let that cook on low so all the flavors can mellow out together while we're waiting on our breadsticks. How easy was that, family? Okay, the ravioli and the pink sauce is done. Breadstick still has about 5 more minutes. And once that comes out, we can have dinner. And our breadsticks are ready. Let's go ahead and sample some of our raviolis and breadsticks, but I want to make sure we eat some together. And that's what's for dinner. That was the last of our ravioli we had in the freezer. So in next month or two, if I don't have anything I need to can, I do need to spend a day in this kitchen and make some more raviolis. Probably won't be able to get enough ricotta cheese made with my raw cow milk. So I might have to buy a tub of ricotta cheese. We do have Parmesan. I have all the spices and herbs. I have all the other ingredients to make the pasta. So we're going to have to do that real soon. So I got a bite of ricotta-filled cheese raviolis, some pink sauce, and a little bit of hamburger. Ravioli cooking for 10 minutes in boiling water is cooked perfect. The flavor is just delicious. And if you want to learn how to make homemade ravioli, of course, when we make it again, I will bring you along. But until then, I do have a video. The link will be in the description below, plus in the iCards right there. Go check out that video and learn how to make homemade pasta and raviolis at home. And they freeze wonderful. So I'm just going to finish this bowl, and when the husband's hungry, we're going to sit down and have dinner. Can't wait to bring you back in the kitchen, and we'll cook another meal together. A sourdough discard breadsticks is so good. The second meal we had this week was actually breakfast. So I made some biscuits, cooked one of our half pounds of bacon, and then I scrambled some eggs. So last night was breakfast, bacon, eggs, and biscuits. And now it's time to cook today's dinner, which is going to be chicken and dumplings. So I have the 3-gallon stock pot. I have a bag of our home cut up whole chicken minus the wings. They're still a little frozen, probably about 1/3 way frozen. I'm just going to go ahead and dump this whole pack of 8 pieces of our fryer parts. We're not going to need all of this chicken for one pot of soup, but I'm going to go ahead and cook the whole chicken, and then half of it we're going to use for the soup. The other half I'm going to either go ahead and shred the chicken and then freeze it, or I might save it for another soup or something later this week. I have a gallon of water. I'm going to add a good pinch of salt. And I have some whole peppercorns. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of whole peppercorns. And the reason I like to use peppercorn versus ground up peppers, because when I go to strain this, I can actually strain the peppercorn out and it'll just leave the flavor, not the ground up pepper. I have a couple bay leaves. I'm going to put 3 in here. That's going to give us a really nice aromatics to our broth that we're going to make in this pot. This is going to go onto the stove. I'm going to put that on medium heat. I'm going to let that cook until the chicken is done and we shred it off of the bones. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and get started on the dumplings. I did take a cup of carrots, one of our 1 cup measure of chopped onions, and about a cup of chopped celery out of the freezer. I took out some butter to go into the dumplings. Now, dumplings is basically just boiled biscuits. So we're going to make our normal biscuit recipe, but we're going to make a big volume of it, because the husband and I prefer to have the dumplings over the chicken when it comes to the soup. We like the broth that it builds, the creaminess that the starch from the biscuits adds to that broth. It's so good. So we like a lot of dumplings. Plus, my daughter Barbara and her mother-in-law both love chicken and dumplings. So if we have a lot, which we usually do, I'm going to have to share with them. So let's go ahead and get started on these dumplings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we got 6 cups of flour. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3 teaspoons of salt. I have 8 ounces of butter. I took this out of the freezer about an hour ago, so it's still firm, but we can use it. I do want to cut them up into small little cubes. And this is 2 sticks or 8 ounces. I'm going to take the pastry knife and break that in here. Just break up those chunks of butter into little bitty pieces. We want them about the size of a small pea. And the flour should take on like a cornmeal consistency. Now you can get really creative with your dumpling recipes, and you can add any kind of herbs or spices you like. You can put rosemary, thyme, Italian seasoning, whatever flavor you're trying to pull in your chicken and dumplings, you can add that to your dumplings. I have done that, but today I think I'm just going to make it just plain dumplings. All right, I think that is good. Not sure how much milk this is going to take. I just mix it until it's the consistency that I want it to be, which is more biscuit type. So this is about 2.5 cups of milk in this quart jar. See how much is left after we're done. And just going to mix that in. I can already tell it's time to get in there with their hands and get in here and mix it up really well. Now, because we are not baking these into biscuits, we don't have to be really gentle. We want to develop that gluten. And have a nice firm biscuit dough to make dumplings with. Want to get everything well incorporated. No dry bits at all. I think it's going to take this whole 2.5 cups, which is fine. All right, we have everything incorporate. Get all this goodness off my hands. And we'll cover this with plastic wrap. We want it to sit here for a minimum of 30 minutes. Relax those glutens before we start rolling them out and cutting them into dumplings. But we got a long way to go on that chicken, because that's going to take a good 45 minutes for that chicken to cook in that water and make us a delicious broth. We're just going to leave our dough sitting right here until we're ready. So we have our vegetables, we have our dumplings, or we have the dough for the dumplings. We have the chicken in the 3-gallon stock pot on the stove. I'll bring you back when we're ready to start putting all of this together. Our chicken has been cooking in that water for 45 minutes. I believe it's done, but we always want to tempt it to make sure. So I have a thigh that's reading over 200 degrees. I know that is ready. And a piece of breast. It's reading over 170. That is ready. So our chicken is done. We'll take it out of this pot of water. And I'm putting it in a bowl because I do want them to cool off a bit before I start handling the chicken to get them off the bones. They're going to be hot. Okay, so the chicken is out. I have a pot with a fine mesh strainer with cheesecloth. I want to strain this chicken broth. So that's all over chicken yucks. I call it yuck because it's the little fibers coming off of the raw chicken. The peppercorn and the bay leaves. So we could throw this away. And now we have some beautiful golden chicken broth. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, that's gorgeous. So the chicken, we're gonna let it cool off a bit before we start shredding it and getting it off of the bones, discarding the skins. The 3-gallon stock pot, I need to wash it, remove any of the uckness from the chicken. Is that a word? Uckness, yuckness, whatever it is. So we can have a clean pot so we can start building our soup. We have the dumpling dough made. We just need to roll that out and get some dumplings made. We could put everything together and have soup. So I'll bring you back in about maybe 30 minutes when this chicken is cooled off just a bit. So we're going to go ahead and remove all the skin and any of the bones. And then we're just going to take our fork, shred the chicken meat. all to little pieces. And we're going to do it to all the chicken pieces in here. We're not going to put any of the cartilage or the connective tissues or any of the, what is it called, the tendons? Yeah, the tendons. Make sure we get all that off. Chicken is still warm, but we can handle it. It's not too hot. And if we find any peppercorns, we're going to go ahead and throw that into our scrap bowl. If it's too hot, just grab a second fork. That'll help you shred it. All right, that is all the meat from one chicken. We'll save this. We'll pick through this in a bit. We're going to throw all the skin in the trash and the bones and into the peppercorns and bay leaf. We're going to put in a Ziploc bag, put this in the freezer, and the next time we need to make stock, we have a head start. Now on Tuesday, we canned some ugly chicken on some chicken breast that we got on sale. Plus we made some chicken broth. Now this is the chicken fat or the schmaltz that we had left over when we skimmed off the fat off of the top of the chicken broth. I went ahead and put this in a pot. I let it heat up and melt that fat, and I poured it back into the same measuring cup so you can actually see we have a good 2 inches of chicken fat in here, or chicken schmaltz, that we're going to put into small jars, stick them in the freezer, and we can use this as a frying fat or a basting fat for chicken. We're going to use some of this for our chicken dumplings. So I cleaned out my 3-gallon stock pot. We'll put this on the stove, medium heat. I have about 2 tablespoons of chicken fat. And that's what we're going to use to saute our vegetables with. Turn that down just a bit. I have a cup of frozen chopped onions, a cup of frozen chopped carrots, 1 cup of frozen chopped celery. Turn that up to a medium low. I'm going to go ahead and add some pepper and some salt. And I just want the vegetables just to get a head start before we add the chicken and the broth back in here. And we still need to roll out our dumplings. So the vegetables rendered off some water or some liquid, but that's almost all gone. It's probably been about 10 minutes. I have half the chicken in a quart-sized Ziploc bag. This is the other half. And our strained chicken broth. And I went ahead and took out 2 pints of our frozen chicken broth from the freezer this morning. Had it sitting on the counter. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Still has a little bit of ice, but that's okay. And I'm going to add a gallon of water. Put the lid on and let that heat up. I have the other half of the shredded chicken in this Ziploc bag. I need to let it cool off completely before I close this bag and stick it in the refrigerator. I have all the bones and the connective tissue and cartilage from that whole chicken in here. We'll put this in the freezer, and the next time we need to make chicken stock, we already have a head start. Now we're going to start working on our dumplings. Now remember, this was 6 cups of flour. We're not going to be able to roll this all at once, so I am going to take just a little bit at a time. I want to flour my surface. And I have the rolling pin. And I'm going to roll it till it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. I want it really thin. Constantly moving the dough to make sure it's not sticking to our surface. I really want it thinner than 1/4 of an inch, probably 1/8 of an inch. I like my dumplings thin because with the baking soda and the bacon powder, along with that butter, it's going to puff up in the liquid, and I don't want it too thick. That looks good. I have a cutting board over here. I'm going to put a good amount of flour on here. This is where we're going to place our dumplings after we cut them. And I'm just using a pizza cutter. We're going to cut them between 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch thick. And then we're going to go the other way. The same thing, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch. Using a bench scraper to pick up our dumplings, put them on our cutting board here. And then we're just going to repeat this process until we have the whole dumpling dough rolled out, cut up, and placed on our cutting board. While I was waiting for the broth to come back to a boil, I stuck the dumplings into the refrigerator just so that butter doesn't melt too much. Let's move over to the soup. So we're up to a boil. I do need a taste of broth for salt and pepper. It needs a lot of help. I am going to add a really good pinch of pepper and some salt. Oh, perfect. Perfect. So I have the dumplings sitting over here. I have the, I don't know, what is this called? A strainer? Spatula? Spoon? Something. I'm not even sure. So we're going to take our dumplings and we're going to drop them in there just a little bit at a time because we don't want them to stick together. And as the dumplings are cooking, they'll release some of its starch and turn this broth into a delicious cream without adding any milk. And they're going to start floating to the top. Until they start cooking in this broth, and then they'll start sinking to the bottom. Just give it a slight stir just so the dumplings are not sticking together. We don't want to be too aggressive. So we have all the dumplings in here. We have all the vegetables, the broth, the chicken. Now I'm going to let this cook on medium heat for about 30 minutes till the dumplings are done. I'm going to come in here every now and then, just check the bottom to make sure we're not having anything sticking. And then these dumplings are going to start sinking. And then we'll know they're done. But look, we've already have a nice cream broth just for the little bit of time we've been in here. All right, so I'll bring you back in 30 minutes and dinner will be ready. Now while the chicken and dumplings is finished cooking, I figure I'd go ahead and take care of this chicken fat or the schmaltz. We did this on Tuesday when we made our canned chicken and broth. Now underneath of it is some ookiness, or like the, I don't know what you call it. The fat has separated from a solid ookiness. Family, I don't know. I don't want that in my schmaltz or my chicken fat. So I'm being very careful of just getting the fat. I'm going to press it into this half pint mason jar. Let me get a paper towel. Just trying to get all the ickiness away from the fat. And this was actually free, good quality chicken fat. Because we made the broth ourselves. And we saved the fat that was on the top. And just left it in the refrigerator until it's solidified. All right, that's 1 cup. We're done with this. Now I'm going to be using used canning lids on my jars. And if you just take a good high percentage of rubbing alcohol, it will remove the permanent marker. And now we can write on it as if it was new. So we ended up with 1.5 cups of a good quality chicken fat. Now we're going to keep this chicken schmaltz in the freezer until we're ready to use it. I'm thinking about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup each time we need to do something that we need an enhanced chicken flavor. We can use this fat to, add to rice, or we can put this in biscuits. We can use this as a fat when we're making chicken gravy. It'll just enhance the flavor of chicken in anything we make. So this also is free food. All right, I'm gonna clean up a bit, and my chicken. The chicken has cooled off. I can put that in the refrigerator. We either need to do something with this in the next 5 days, or I need to make sure it goes into the freezer, and we can use it for Alfredo. We can use this to make more soup, or a casserole, or anything we want. But we already have chicken cooked, ready to go for the next time we need to make a casserole, soup, or anything. And now it's time to eat. Who wants chicken and dumplings? Oh, it looks so pretty. Food can be pretty, delicious, and healthy. You can have all three in homemade food. But I want you to look at this broth. Look how creamy that is. No milk. That is just the starch from those dumplings. Let's go ahead and get a scoop of chicken and dumplings. Probably didn't get no chicken, but that is okay. The dumpling's my favorite anyway. I do like to add a little bit more salt and pepper to my chicken and dumplings. I like it peppery. So I make a big pot of chicken and dumplings because it takes all day to make a pot of chicken and dumplings. This is not 30-minute meal that I can whip up really quick and put it on the stove and we have dinner. I had to cook the chicken, make the broth, make the dumplings, put everything together. I like to have already cooked shredded chicken in my freezer. I enjoy having already made and frozen dumplings in my freezer. That way when I do want a 30-minute meal, I can put everything together really quick. Probably not 30 minutes, probably takes about an hour or so. But it's faster than making it from scratch. We're going to eat on this for a couple days. Plus I'm going to give some to my daughter Barbara if she wants some. Plus I have a really good friend, my daughter's mother-in-law, who loves chicken and dumplings. So we're going to share some with her. All right, I am ready for some dumplings. Perfect. Oh my goodness, it's cooked perfect. Oh, I am so happy. I got a feeling this is going to last 2, if not 3 days. If it only lasts for 2 days, then we're definitely going to have to cook one more time this week. If it lasts 3 days, I'll see you next week. But I absolutely love homemade chicken and dumplings. We're going to cook one more meal this week. We're going to have pizza and wings. I have the standard size cast iron skillet in the oven heating up to 400 degrees. I took a pack of 16 chicken wings out of the freezer. We did this last week when we cut up some chickens we had on sale and we saved those wings. This is one of those packs of wings. Plus I have one of our homemade frozen pizzas. Let me go ahead and get these on some paper towels so I can dry them off a bit, because you get a good crispy skin in a hot skillet and dry chicken skins. And that's going to make beautiful crispy skin chicken. And these are raw chickens. All right, before I touch my salt and pepper, I need to wash my hands. So we have a nice hot cast iron skillet. We're not going to put any oil or anything in this cast iron skillet. It's going to be a tight fit, but we can do it. We'll sprinkle a little bit of salt. And some pepper. And I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. All right, this is going to go back in the 400-degree oven for 30 minutes. Then I want to flip them, and we're just going to add some store-bought barbecue sauce the husband picked up when he went to the store the other day. And at that time, we can go ahead and put our pizza in the oven. And this is just a cheese pizza. And if you like toppings on yours, this will be the perfect opportunity to add your toppings, your pepperoni, your vegetables, whatever you like. We just prefer to have just plain cheese pizza. So that's how we're going to do. So I'll bring you back in about 30 minutes. We need to flip those wings and get that pizza in the oven. All right, so the wings have been in the oven for 30 minutes. I do want to take the temperature just to see where we are. This is considered white meat, so it needs to be 165. We're reading 180, so they are good, but we're not finished with them. So I have this G. Hughes original barbecue sauce. Family, it's not clean ingredients. But sometimes the husband likes convenience, but that's okay. So I'm going to paint the top side with barbecue sauce. And now we want to flip them so we can paint the other side, and we're going to let them cook for another 30 minutes while the pizza is cooking. I'm going to put this back in the oven. And now we can get our pizza in the oven. And the pizza's going to take between 20 and 30 minutes. It is par cooked. So it's a little bit more than halfway cooked. We just need to thaw that pizza, heat it up, get a nice golden brown around the top crust, and melt that cheese. During that time, the wings and barbecue, and then we can have dinner. I think I'm gonna go ahead and make me a dipping sauce. The husband doesn't care dipping sauce for his wings, but I like a dipping sauce. So we're gonna make a really quick, easy dipping sauce by using our homemade fermented hot sauce and some of this spicy ranch dressing my son got from the Renaissance Fair, which, CJ, if you're listening to this video, I'm going to need some more of this year when you go to the Renaissance Fair. Now this is some hot, hot, hot sauce. It's hotter than I normally like. So we're just going to use maybe 1/4 teaspoon. And maybe 1/8 cup of ranch dressing. That should be good. And I think I'm going to tame it just a little bit with some honey. Probably add 1/2 teaspoon of honey. Very ranchy, a little bit on the spicy side, but that honey did help tame it just a bit. It only took 20 minutes for that pizza. We'll go ahead and turn the oven off. We can go ahead and get our wings out. Oh, that smells so good. We'll go ahead and cut the pizza. Ooh, cheesy goodness. And some wings. Nothing like a simple dinner. Even though it took us almost an hour, because we had to cook the wings and then heat up the pizza, it's hands off. We throw it in the oven, forget about it. Check on it, forget about it. And then dinner's ready. I love hands off dinners. So we're going to try some barbecue wings with some of our dipping sauce. Just the right amount of heat. And our beautiful pizza. And this is a homemade frozen pizza. In the description below is going to be a link to us making this pizza when we put it in the freezer. So the husband and I are going to sit down and have dinner. This is it for this week. I hope you're inspired. Get in your kitchen and make a delicious meal. Our first meal was ravioli in a pink sauce. The second meal was breakfast. You saw pictures of that. I did not film that. Our normal breakfast that we always have. In the description below will also be a link to all the breakfasts that I make for the husband and myself. Plus we did chicken and dumplings. And today we're having pizza and wings. If you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up while you're at it. Go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you part of the Grammy family. In this kitchen, we try to eat most of our food, most of our meals from scratch. We eat healthy, real food to nourish our bodies so we can do the things we need to do each and every day. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family. How's pizza and wings, husband?
It's good.
It's good. All right, we'll see you next time, family.